Welcome back, Show Me Nourish Land. Michelle Rawls, your licensed nutritionist, nurse, diabetes management and education. I am here today with Ms. Jen Beck. Jen is a licensed NLP coach. She is a nutritionist, and she is a master lift untherapy practitioner. So today we are going to dive into Jen and her side of how she coaches, how she came to be. She is the owner of Complete Health Revolution. So welcome, Jen. Welcome for being here at Show Me Nourish today with all of our listeners. Go ahead and dive in. How did Jen come to be with Complete Health Revolution? How'd that get started? And just give us a little background. We'll just kind of go from there.
Sure. Sounds great. I'm super excited to be here, Michelle. I love the work you're doing through Show Me Nourish and the work you're doing for the community. It's just incredible.
Thank you.
So I'm excited to be here. I've been in nutrition for almost 23 years now. I started my journey. It was kind of funny because if you rewound the clock, you would never think that I would end up teaching people how to eat healthy. In my 20s, I was living on fast food, sugar, literally McDonald's, Snickers, Twizzlers, and Skittles were my favorite snacks. I swore off cooking at 19. I smoked a half a pack a day and lived on coffee and Diet Mountain Dew. No nutrition in my awareness at all. And then my mom. Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
My mom, at the age of 49, went from living on her own to being in a nursing home in about 6 weeks. She had multiple sclerosis my entire life, and she was on all the preventative medications to make sure that those relapses didn't happen.
Right.
And in that moment, standing in her living room and watching her cling to every possession that she had, because it was literally overnight. We had one weekend to be able to get her into a nursing home because the steroids weren't working, the meds weren't working, and she had actually fallen out of a wheelchair and gotten stuck underneath it. And the fire department had to break in and rescue her from in the bathroom under her wheelchair. And she couldn't go back in the hospital. So we had to find a nursing home. And the weekend that we were sorting for all of her stuff, it was you know how it is if you downsize somebody or if you moved before, right? There's one box for Goodwill, one storage, one box for taking. And she everything that she had, even though she couldn't go from her apartment to a one room, she had to release things. But I just remember in that moment, I would do whatever I could to help my mom. And at the same time, whatever I could do to help me not end up in the same place. My mom had MS, her mom had MS, my mom's sister had MS. They say it's not genetic. And I'm like, well, if it's not, I want to do whatever I can to not end up there.
Right. Good job.
So I on kind of just a mission of what I could do to help my mom. And I ended up at a conference where there was a pharmacist that was talking about the healing benefits of superfoods, which back in the late 90s, early 2000s was weird. Multivitamins were weird back then still.
Right.
And during his talk, he was talking about his wife who had multiple sclerosis for 26 years. Same amount of time as my mom. After the event that night at the reception, I see the two of them literally waltzing across the ballroom. She's untouched. My mom has been walking with a cane since I was probably 7 or 8, and this woman is fine. And I got a chance to meet her afterwards, and I'm like, what drugs are you on? Because your results are so much better than my mom. She needs to be on whatever you're on.
Right.
And she looks at me, she goes, oh, I'm not on any medications. My husband didn't believe in them. Your husband, the pharmacist, didn't believe in the drugs? He's like, no, the population studies were too short and too small, and the side effects basically outweighed the benefits. I'm like, well, what did you do then? She goes, I just took care of my body. I built it up with, diet, supplements, and exercise. And I started thinking about the parallels of my mom's life, and there weren't any. We grew up in the Midwest in the 80s.
Yeah.
A lot of hamburger, a lot of tuna noodle casserole, a lot of Salisbury steak out of the freezer with a can of green beans, a can of cream corn, instant potatoes, white bread, Wonder Bread, right, with the bubbles.
Bringing back my
Like, it was
childhood
just
here.
not nutrition.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, she did the best that she could. She had MS, she's raising 3 kids, she worked full time for my dad's business. So she did the best that she could. And I had no knowledge about nutrition at that, my entire time growing up. I mean, the one rule I do remember is we couldn't buy cereal if there was sugar in the first 3 ingredients. But that's one of the few rules that I remember.
Right.
Right. And so it got me curious.
I like
though.
that
My mom
rule.
didn't for like 6 months in 6th grade, and she's like, I'm not doing it anymore. They're too expensive and they don't work. And I don't remember her ever exercising. So talking to Dr. Suster's wife, it got me curious, like, well, what if my mom had done what she had done? Would her results have been any different? So I just started researching, and the more I did, the more I saw people reversing MS and heart disease and cancer and diabetes and fibromyalgia and Alzheimer's and everything I thought was a life sentence. These people are reversing just by changing their diet and lifestyle. And that is actually what prompted me to go back to school for nutrition, and to be able to really learn for myself, but also what can I do to help my mom. And so I went back and I took what I learned in school and my experience, and we were able to get my mom out of the nursing home into a group home, where we were able to really have influence over her diet and lifestyle. And she passed just before her 65th, but her doctors told us that we had increased her lifespan by at least 5, if not 10 years, and had tremendously improved the quality of her life while she was still here. And so I feel so grateful and honored that I got to be a part of her journey and helped her and I get to have my mom around longer, right? And now I get to help other people to truly reclaim their health and recharge their lives based on my lessons that I learned from my mom and how she showed up in her journey versus Dr. Suster's wife, and how we're really we are really in control of what our journey looks like and how it unfolds and how we influence that. And I figured when I first started my nutrition journey that if I got to help one family keep a parent out of a nursing home prematurely, my mission would be accomplished. And I've been able to do that for hundreds and thousands of families across the country. So,
that's the best part.
Yeah.
So, and that's where you and I really come in, and we have such an alignment, because that is our goal. That is our goal.
Yeah.
It's to touch the lives. It's to impact the lives. It's to change the lives. It's to grow them into knowing and understanding so that it continues down the line, so that we're not in these grocery stores buying this terrible food. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but we are going to move into some similarities with what you said. So before you came into the nutrition side, what were you doing?
I was working at Miller Brewing Company.
Okay.
I was a peer.
Awesome. No, that's awesome.
Now I joke about it. Like I was just creating my own clientele. Like right. I get them, like the food industry, get them sick and then like sell them to the side.
See, you actually, yeah, that's full circle. I love this. This is good. All right. So diving into nutrition, and now you have been diving lately into the weight loss industry, right? I mean, that's one thing that I don't really talk about. That's something that I do not stress upon. Knowing what you and I know, I'm curious as to why. Why do you really tap into that weight loss side? What is it about the weight loss that has you? Because I'll just tell you, my personal side of it is I don't talk about weight loss in my program because I deal with chronic illness and disease, right? I reversed my cancer. I've been cancer-free for 11 years now. So I dive into the food. Why do you dive into the weight loss side? Give us that side of it.
Yeah, so I think that the weight loss side for me, it really speaks to me because so often, especially for the high achieving women that I work with, we go, when I lose the weight, then my life will get better. And it's such a hot button. We have in our society, we have such a focus on aging perfectly and having the perfect body and all the things. and we have such a value attached to it, right? We're either eating good or we're bad. We're doing well or we're not. We're on track or we're not. And there is so much mental abuse, self-imposed and societal. And it is one of the biggest things that keeps us stuck. And it keeps us in this space of overwhelm and not good enough. And it's reinforcing the negative beliefs that we have. So I've been in nutrition for 20 plus years. I have always incorporated mindset and mindfulness into my work. And within the last 7+ years, I've really, like the certification in NLP and lift-on therapy and many of the other modalities that I use, we're getting into the underlying beliefs, the self-limiting beliefs, the emotional damage. Like, I don't care if you've had a big trauma or a little trauma. We all have them, and we install them into our body. We trap the emotions and trap the beliefs in our body, and our unconscious uses it as radar detectors to help us stay out of situations that feel similar.
Right, absolutely.
So we're carrying all of this self-limiting BS, all of the I'm not good enough, all of the I'm not special, all of the if I just lost weight, if my body looked a certain way, if I looked a certain way, then I'd be valuable. And it is so it is self-abuse.
Right.
And I see that so often. So when I look at weight loss, so many women think that is a part of their value.
Yeah.
So part of it is helping them to understand how to disconnect from the weight loss equation conversation in the first place. Then it's a matter of how do you personalize and prioritize your lifestyle for you.
Right.
Right. I work with a lot of women in STEM, a lot of engineers and doctors and people in technology and education, and that entire atmosphere is a really heady. I'm a pretty heady person. So I get it. It's like how to do it. Like, what's the next step?
Right.
But a lot of that comes from being hyper vigilant and constantly scanning for what do I need to know? What do I need to do for me to stay safe, for me to be able to be effective, for me to be good enough?
Right.
And so when we start to disconnect from the conversation of weight, so yes, it's about releasing the weight, but it's about getting to the root cause of it.
Right.
So that we have energy and vitality and we prioritize ourselves and all of those things. So for me, is it about weight loss? No, because I don't ever want anyone to find it again. Is it about releasing what no longer serves you? Absolutely. And the weight wouldn't be there if we were happy, whole, and healthy.
Absolutely. So that's it right there, guys. That's it right there. She just said it. So if we understood and get to the root cause of what's really behind our weight increase or, the issues that we have, we got to get through the trauma. We've got to go back and deal with the trauma in order to really move forward in a better, healthier direction. And that is where a lot of people don't see that value. They don't want to go there. And that's really what it is. They just don't want to go there. So if you're someone who is looking to lose weight and they come to you and they say, hey, Jen, I just want to lose 20 pounds. How do you address that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, it's why, right? So here's the thing. When the way I look at weight loss, it's getting out of the hole for most people. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel on my clothes. I can't do X, Y, or Z. If we're in a hole of carrying around extra weight, we don't like the way we look and feel. Right. I'm going to get out of the hole. But if we only get out of the hole, Michelle, we will eventually fall back in the hole. It's like chutes and ladders. We work really, really, really hard and we get to the top. And then we go, oh, thank God I made it. And we go, woo! Back down to our right? Back to all the things that we were doing before that got us in the situation where we needed to lose weight in the first place. So instead, it's a matter of not just, I want to get out of the hole, I want to lose the weight, but where do I want to go? Why do I want to lose the weight?
Right.
Is it because you feel more confident in who you are when you're speaking so that you shine and your business grows? Is it so that you can have more energy and you can keep up with your kids or your grandkids?
Right.
When we attach a bigger why to it versus just the weight, it allows us to make a permanent change and put us on a journey versus a destination where we stop.
Absolutely.
And so it's about why. And then it's a matter of how do we personalize what we're doing, our lifestyle. If we're overhauling everything in one day, it ain't going to stick.
Right.
We've all been there, done.
Right.
So it's really a matter of helping people to understand their body, their unique needs, what works for them, and then how do we plan and implement it into their life so they can live it and not die it.
That takes me to my next question. So diets. I don't believe in diets. Oh, so we, here at Show Me Nourish, we do not diet. We do not count calories. I focus on your chronic health, your issues at hand. I do not take weight loss clients. If you come to me and you say, I want to lose weight, I'm going to ask you, what disease processes do you currently have? I don't ask why. I say, what are your current disease processes? Are you diabetic, high blood pressure? So let's talk about the diet. Why do diets not work?
Well, let's see. They're extreme, right? Carnivore. You can't eat anything except for meat. Keto. You can't eat anything except for meat and cheese for most Americans' mind, right? I mean, I've used ketotarian ways of living with people before, but Americans, we go, oh, we take the sliver industry. Like we take the sliver syndrome. We go, here's this whole study about keto, and we go, oh, I get to eat all the bacon and cheese that I want. And so we don't take in the big picture. We don't do it the right way. We cliff note it, and then we go, oh, I don't know why I had to get my gallbladder taken out. Right. Or we go vegetarian and we eat all the meat-like substances that are heavily processed versus going, how do I nurture and nourish my body so that I'm thriving and my body's getting what it needs as far as high performance fuel versus this food-like substances that most people consume.
Yeah.
So they're extreme, they're not personalized, and they're really short-sighted. And we don't really know, most people don't really know what their body needs specifically, given their metabolic design, food sensitivities, and their current state of health.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're just not sustainable. They're not possible for you to really keep that pattern going for a long period of time. Let's talk about that, because I was listening to one of your interviews that you did on Facebook. You had a gentleman that came to you with heart issues, correct? And he did all the work. He got himself back to a very good, healthy state. What happened? What was it in that process that he could not continue, or he did not continue and came back to where he was? Give us a little update on that.
Yeah, so right here, right between our ears. So I was talking about getting out of the hole, right? Got out of the hole. He got all his numbers in line. He had dropped 40 pounds. He was solid. And because he's good, it's the law of diminishing returns, right? The farther we get away from the pain, the less impulse there is to change. Because we will never get out of the pain that we're in until the pain of where we're at right now is greater than the unknown of change.
Exactly.
So for him, he had an acute situation. Well, I got a heart attack, but I got to make some changes, and I got to make big changes now. He did. He overhauled everything. He ate really well, tons of vegetables, a little bit of meat, ate really well for heart disease, the chronic diagnosis, made the changes, and then goes, okay, I'm done. I can just have a little bit. I can just have a couple of chicken wings. I'll eat a salad with it. I can have just a burger. I'll eat some broccoli with that. I can have just a little bit of sugar. And that turns into, I'm going to have a burger with the bun and fries and a piece of cheesecake to top it off. Not overnight. It took him 4 years to regress.
Sure.
But that's why if we don't attach it to something more important than just our weight or our health, if we don't embrace other people, I call them heart goals versus smart goals. But if they're not heartfelt, if they're not engaging somebody else, it's going to be short term. So we get to create this journey about like, what do I want my life to look like and feel like and be like? And for me, I still remember my first change was, you know how when you get a burger, the bun is like this big and the burger is this big.
Yeah.
So my first step was like, okay, I know I need to make some changes. I'm going to cut out stuff that is meaningless or useless. So my first step was cutting off the bun that didn't have burger on it. So I shrank my gluten intake by this much.
Right.
But it was a step. It was a
right.
baby step. From there, it got to be half the bun. And then I would hold it by one piece of the bun and I would take off the top and the bottom. And then I finally ditched the bun altogether. Then I added in a salad or a side of broccoli. Then I added in a smaller burger and more veggies. Like it's not about overhauling everything in one day, but it's how much nourishment can I add into a meal? How much vitality can I add into the foods I'm consuming versus, having a salad which goes bad in a day versus a Twinkie that'll last 17 years on the shelf.
Right.
Like what kind of nutritional value are we consuming?
So I want to go back really quickly. So two things that I want to unfold there is number one, he did not keep his mental mindset as to why he came to you to begin with. He had went back after 4 years or so of this process, and he just slowly over a course of time did not keep this mental mindset in place that I don't want to be back in that position again. And because I am out of that position now, oh, I can do this. So again, I want to reiterate what Jen said, going the further away from pain, the less we remember that that's where we were or that we could get back there again. So this is a journey. This is not an overnight success. You didn't put the weight on overnight. It's not going to come off overnight. So the mental mindset has to be in place in order to continue. You have to continuously remember, I was in kidney disease. I was on dialysis, or I was, blood sugar sky high. I was with my blood pressure that was 200 over 100. These are things you must keep in mind in order to continue on your journey, which is what it is. So, Jen, let's move on to the next part of this because you're really into that process you're talking about with the bun. You're slowly shrinking it. You're wrapping things up in a different way now. You're not going to use the bun anymore. So you took small steps that also changed your mental mindset. So I would like for you to elaborate on that just a little bit of how that mental mindset actually took that journey for you, and how do you feel today with where you're at?
Yeah, it's a great question, Michelle. And I think the biggest piece is getting to a place where it becomes automatic. If you that's why diets aren't sustainable, because we have to micromanage everything. You have to I've got to get the right macros in there. You're talking we don't do macros, we don't do calories. Why? Because nobody is willing to sustain that long term.
No.
So it's a matter of creating the why I'm doing what I'm doing, and then taking baby steps that you can sustain. Today, I don't think twice about going, okay, what vegetable am I going to have with my meal? It doesn't matter if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I have vegetables with every meal. Why? Because there's a value to that. So I understand it. So a huge part of the work that I do is helping people to understand why we do what we do, why we add in the nutrition, and why are you choosing? We all know, Michelle, that we should eat more broccoli and chicken than brownies and cookies. Right? I don't think that is rocket science or new information for anyone. Yet, why do we eat so many brownies and cookies and Twinkies and all of the things that don't support our health? That is a huge piece of the work that I do, because when we get to a place where we understand why we do what we do, am I looking for love or comfort? Am I trying to manage my emotions? Am I trying to numb my emotions with the foods that I'm eating?
Yes.
And so what creates a sustainability for my clients, I have clients that have dropped 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 pounds, not because they're focused on the weight loss, but because we're focused on transformation.
Right.
And so much of it is because we address why they're doing what they're doing in the first place. And a lot of that is because I don't feel worthy. I don't feel deserving of being healthy.
Yeah.
I don't take care of myself because I don't feel valuable. And so a huge part of it is, how do we reset that framework? How do we reset the drivers about why we do what we do, so that the default is, I take care of myself, I nourish myself, I love myself, I carve out time for myself every single day. And when we have those beliefs and that mindset at an unconscious level, I'm not talking about like affirmations where we go, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and gosh darn it, people like me, so I'm going to eat healthy. Like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to go there today. We're not going there today, but we might do that again. So yeah, so keep that in mind.
Right. But really about changing our how we feel about ourselves and the value that we put on ourselves.
Right.
Like I just did, I was talking about how you would never put sugar and garbage into your high performance race car.
Right.
Yet people put that into their bodies on a daily basis because they're trying to get that food or that alcohol or that overworking or over exercising to fulfill a void or a need that they have. So they're polluting their gas tank and they're destroying the high performance machine that they have and that they are.
Exactly. Whoa, that was awesome. That was perfect. And I hope everybody's hearing what she's saying, because this is what we continue to talk about. All right. So I'm so grateful that you came here today and that you were a guest of mine, because this was powerful. This is so good. So guys, Jen has some things that she has coming up. So I'm going to let her tell you what she's got coming up here in the next few weeks, as well how you can actually reach out to Jen. And you can, if you resonate with Jen, I encourage you to reach out to her and, reach out, have a conversation. It's worth it. All right, Jen. So tell us, how can we get in touch with you? What do you got coming up?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So one, you can find me on social at Jen Beck or Jen Beck Complete Health, depending on which platform you're on. But if you search Complete Health, you'll find me. So I would love to connect with you. Like I said, I do a live every Wednesday on Complete Health Revolution's page. And so join us there. And then in February, we're actually opening the doors to Transform. And Transform is my membership where we work on both the actions above the line, which is, personalizing your nutrition. How do you make those changes and make them stick? And below the line of really looking at identifying what those drivers are that are self-sabotaging or that are keeping us from really living the life that we truly love. So I would love to be able to share more about that with you if that's something that resonates with you. And Michelle, for your audience, I've opened up a couple of spots on my calendar. Okay. I do what's called a barrier session. So if you're somebody that really is, if you're somebody that's really looking to release the weight for good, and that's a priority, not because it's about fitting into your clothes or you have, I have a vacation in 6 weeks that I want to drop 15 pounds for. Like this is not for you.
Not reasonable.
This is for somebody that wants to address what's driving and what's keeping them from living their best life and having their best health. This is where I think you and I really partner, because I do under, yeah, and you do a much good with nutrition and the guidance of changing the diet and the nutrition piece and things like that. So if you're somebody that really wants to get to the root of why you do what you do so that you can transform it into something that is a life that you love, you can schedule a time on my calendar at talkwithjenbeck.com. And I open up a couple of these for your audience. We'll go through and we'll talk about where you're at right now, where do you want to go, and what are the things that are getting in the way, so that you can break through the roadblocks and create a life that you love with the physical and emotional health to live it.
Awesome. So guys, she just opened up some doors for you. So take advantage of those doors if you're someone who's ready to really make some changes. All right, guys, that is a wrap for Show Me Nourish podcast for today. Thank you, Jen, for being here. I'm so grateful that you're here. And guys, if you love this kind of content, subscribe. Let us know that you would like to see more of this, and we'll make it happen for you. All right, everyone, have a beautiful and wonderful day.